this word acceptance. This is where I am. And I want to go there. So that's progress. But I can't just like, that's not sustainable, it's not real, it's imaginary. So I need acceptance and steps in the direction of. And the instructions, like let's take Prabhupada's instruction from Bhaktisiddhanta. That was a big one. Go to the Western world and deliver the message of Lord Chaitanya in English. There was a lot of preparation involved. Or Hanuman, find Sita. A lot of steps in between. And then even when he found Sita, there was like, he had to negotiate it properly. Otherwise, it could have been disaster in many ways. So, there's an instruction and you go in the direction of, but there's preparation and steps. But it doesn't change the instruction. Go to the West and deliver the message. And then after having completed the go to the West, in Prabhupada's words, he took on his mission, which was take that same message back to India that had rejected it when he wasn't following the instruction that it was given. But he took the Western boys and girls back to India and kaboom. So, it's not exactly balance, it's acceptance and progress. Yes?
Maharaj, regarding that slide which was on principles of destructions,
yeah.
adharma.
Yes.
So these things, are they like the first things to happen is adharma and falsity and then other follows?
It's not necessarily chronological. Does that answer your question?
And do they have interactions across?
Yes, of course. One thing leads to another thing. You bump into that guy, he bumps into that guy. So there's interaction, sure. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Regarding this chart, as you mentioned in the previous lecture, so a couple of questions. One is when we see this adharma, irreligion, and all the other items mentioned here, is it like when this occurs, the destruction already starts? Only it's a matter of manifestation, or is it something different?
I'm not sure what your question is, but maybe this will answer your question. The mode of ignorance is the overarching destruction principle, and the other ones that are underneath it are his assistants or elements of the mode of ignorance. That's destruction principle. And they're operating all the time. As soon as, let's take, as soon as like the mind, sankalpa, vikalpa. It's not like first you have to make a construct, sankalpa, and then the mind starts to vikalpa. It's happening as you go along. Like, planning this event. There's a sankalpa, let's have the event. So there's always, here's an idea, well, a refinement of that idea, that's not so good, maybe something over, that sounds better, and then, but that could be better than there's always the refinement process going on all the time. The modes are competing for supremacy all the time. Destructive forces are happening as we're sitting here.
Yeah, I was just trying to understand from the context of like Daksha, as he was offending Lord Shiva. So when somebody does like that, so their longevity and everything gets destroyed. So it's just the way he did it, and is it like we can understand the seed is, it started the process, just a matter of time?
Well, again, yes and no, because why did Daksha do what Daksha did? Where did the seed for what he did come from? Or after he did what he did and his life duration was shortened and he got forgiveness from Lord Shiva, he took birth again and did the same thing again with Narada. Time separated, but the tendency remained. So where does the tendency start? It starts with misuse of free will, and then varieties of choices after the misuse of free will choice, according to the modes of nature. And there's from moment to moment, there's different choices, and we're generating new circumstances based on those choices. It's not static. It's not, it's not a linear cause and effect thing. Is that? It's dynamic. And then there's principles within that dynamic. And so the essential principle is free will choices connected to Krishna or not. And once it's not, then there's varieties of choices in the not category, and it's all illusion. Varieties of illusion. And destructive forces are happening throughout that whole separate from Krishna choice. There's creative forces happening in that separate from Krishna choice. There's maintenance forces acting in that separate from Krishna choice. It's dynamic. It's not linear cause and effect. It's very complex. Is that?
Last one small question.
Let me give you a visual. I'm a visual guy, along with conceptual, analytical. Have you ever seen the inside of a golf ball? The inside of a golf ball is karma. There's this white thing on the outside and it looks really neat. But when that white thing gets cut, inside, it's little skinny strands of rubber band wound around and 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 around. Where's it begin? Where's it end? Whew. And then sometimes they have like a little steel ball right at the center, so that when you hit the golf ball along with the rubber going kaboom, there's this steel that carries the golf ball further, so they say. So there's varieties of golf balls. But it's all complex inside. Where does it begin and end? Who can say? It's too complex. Karma is it's a principle, cause and effect. And then there's so many causes and so many effects, and it's all wound up together, and it's very complex. So same with this question about destructive forces.
Yes, Maharaj. So there's Gahana Karmana Gati. So that's the principle. Gahana Karmana Gati. Like the karma, it's very difficult to understand where from it is initiated.
Yeah.
Yes, for Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, okay. Next.
Yeah, and small question. Here it is mentioned in the chart Kali. So this Kali is Kali Yuga or is something?
It's a force of destruction. And there's a personality of Kali. He personifies that force. And he rules this age. And there's lots of, he has lots of helpers. And he has his consort, Sin. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that drama. Kali and Sin. Yes? Take the microphone. Thank you.
Maharaj, as you were talking today about adversities and dualities, and what happens in adversities, you told us that taking shelter of the higher principles of life. So adversities, they are a tough time, and probably I think everyone has their own capacities of withholding the adversities inside them.
Withholding adversities inside them. I don't know what that means.
Meaning, like, some stress comes and capacity to take it. So everybody has this threshold. Somebody can take up high, something.
Sure, okay. But that language is clear. The other one needed clarification. Go ahead.
So, so I really find it tough, that at the time of adversities, so it's what I really feel is it's painful, to bear that pain, and then at that time taking shelter of the higher principles of life. Because in normal life, what people generally do is they take shelter of, like something pleasure principles, avoiding this and diverting your mind to that, and being in material conditioning, that becomes a second nature.
Yeah, well, from the very, very first slide this morning, second slide, I showed the yin-yang symbol. And if one opts for what you just said, you're purchasing more suffering. Guaranteed, money back. 100%. And it can be, numbing kind of activity, without listing what numbing activity consists of. There's so many.